Um, Hi! I don't know when my volume is live because I can't hear it. I'm Amanda. I'm at the Battleground Games and Hobbies Abington location up in the loft. I am going to be painting some figures today. And if you hear some noise downstairs, is because we are getting terrain ready for the Star Wars Legion opening weekend. So we're very excited about that, and we want to have everything ready, so that's why there might be a little noise in the background. But for the most part, it's just going to be me painting. And if I tend to look off that way, my chat view is right there, and the camera's right here. So today I am going to be working on a couple of different things. I am going to be working on the figures from the Dark Crystal board game. So I finished Kira. I need to do a little bit of detail work on her eyes. I need to put the little sort of pinpricks. If I show Jen, you can see what I mean. He's got a little twinkle in his eye, which is done with the tiniest brush I have and a bit of white paint. So I need to do that with Kira. And she's not nearly as blown out as she was. She's very pale, so she tends to blow out the white levels on the camera. And so they're mostly done except for Kira's eyes. And I started working on the Chamberlain last week. Got some nice base coats on him. You might notice he looks awfully clean. Yeah, that won't last. The whole thing about his robe is that he's got this underrobe that it looks like a dress shirt, like it looks like a blouse almost. And it is off-white up near his face. But down at the floor level, it is just the dirtiest, dingiest thing. I do have a reference for him. Look at that. Down near the floor, like I looked really closely and I realized that used to be white down there, if, like you're thinking about the character and like what that fabric probably looked like when it was new. And it's the same garment as all that white hanging from like his sleeves and stuff. It's just super gross. Because Skeksis, not much for housekeeping, as one might notice. So we're going to work on him. And then we've got the Gartham Master, who is all in these fantastic like greens and purples and stuff. So yeah, we're going to play around with him a little bit. And then I have a project that I started last week for a friend. If you've ever looked at our Friday night videos, we do board games on Friday nights. And a couple of weeks ago we played Santorini, and the copy of Santorini that we used was loaned to us by a friend of ours, friend Steven. And he mentioned, he was in the chat last week, and he mentioned, that he thought the figures would look good painted, and they would, because they were like this like beigey color for one set, this sort of baby blue for another set, and this white. And when you look at the white and the beige together, there's not a whole lot of difference. Like you could tell they were different, but they weren't particularly inspiring colors. So he was talking about that, and I was like, well, I can paint those. That's easy enough to do. But Steve also kickstarted Santorini. So he got some of the like backer rewards and stuff, one of which is the Golden Fleece expansion, which comes with a little ram's head on a pedestal as the Golden Fleece. So I did finish the Golden Fleece actual like bust last week. I'm really happy with how it came out. I'm really pleased with that. It looks 100% the way I wanted it to look. But you might notice the base is looking rather plain. It started this sort of lemon custard yellow. You might notice the base is looking a little plain, so one of the first things I'm going to do right now is start a bit of an experiment. Way back in the dawns of time, when I was a teenager and was in high school, I did a lot of theater tech. And by theater tech, I mean set building and painting, and then being part of the tech crew that runs the show, that does all of like the set changes and stuff. I loved doing that in high school. It was a really fun gig. And then I did more of it in college. And one of the things that I learned how to do, but have not done in quite some time, was a faux marble finish. Because when you're building sets, you're obviously not lugging real slabs of marble up onto the stage. You are painting like canvas panels, basically, like they're basically like painting canvases, called flats. And you're painting flats or platforms to look like marble. And I haven't done it in a long time, probably 16, 17 years, maybe longer. I don't remember what semester I was in when I last did it, but I know it was my senior year of college. So we're going to attempt to do a faux marble finish on the base. We'll see how that goes. I think I can do it. Here's what I'm going to be doing. I went and looked up a refresher on this. And the way that you achieve a faux marble finish is you think about what marble actually looks like. Marble is not a solid, opaque stone. It's a translucent stone, which I think maybe I mentioned last week. One of the coolest things I know about marble is that there's a library in Connecticut, the Beinecke Library at Yale, that doesn't have windows, or glass windows. Instead, what they have is marble panels. One, because they're Yale, and how ostentatious can you get? Well, that's how ostentatious we're going to be. So, you know, it's this giant block of a building full of marble panels, and the marble panels are like 3 by 3. They're giant, you know, 9 square feet sort of things. And they do let light through. It's just very diffused light, and this is better for the books inside because the Beinecke is their rare book collection. And like when I say rare books, I'm talking like original Audubon book that's like yay big, it's enormous. An original, I think they have a Gutenberg Bible there. They just have an amazing, amazing collection there because, again, they're Yale, and that's what the Ivy Leagues do. But they also take very good care of those books. And one of the ways that you take very good care of a rare book collection is you do not let direct sunlight onto it because that will destroy the collection. So, marble panels. So marble is a translucent stone. This means that you can't just paint marble lines onto things. You're doing layers. So I have a very tiny piece of sponge. This was just cut off of a kitchen sponge. I used this for a slight marbling sponge painty effect when I did the troll figure from the original Talisman board game. Not like the original, but it's the base set of characters. Comes with a green troll whose skin is mottled. It's got this modeling to it. So I actually ended up using a sponge paint some of it. So we're going to start with a first coat on that, and then I'm going to move on to the other figures, because I figure if I royally mess up with this, I'm going to want to go over it. And if I don't mess it up, it's going to take several layers of paint, and I'm not going to want to do it all when it's completely wet. Some of it you want to get done while it's wet because you're sponging and spreading paint by sponging over it. Some of it, not so much. So I have a nice little, I'm going to take my camera for a moment. That is, I'm going to try not to like blow it out. There we go. A little better there. See, that's like a golden marble that I looked up just for color reference. And I like the colors in that. It's got a very reddish sort of color to it, along with the gold. So I'm going to use, I have a mahogany brown for the veining, for like the darkest veining. I've got antique gold to use for some of the lighter veining. And I'm using a sort of pale yellow sort of creamy pale yellow. And you can see I've already done the base in a light yellow there. I don't know how well that yellow comes across in the on the camera, but yeah, it's a very pale yellow, which I used by basically mixing this with a little bit of white. So, wish me luck. I don't know if this is gonna work. It might, or I might fail horribly. This might be real bad real fast. So, I'm just gonna respond to something, and then we will make the attempt to make this golden fleece mounted on marble. I'm really hopeful. I have my fingers crossed that this is going to work. All right. So yeah. And then I'm going to work on the actual figures from Santorini, which one of the other things I did this morning before we started filming, we were actually uploading our podcast, was I went through and did a whole bunch of like skin tone swatches and different color swatches for hair colors and toga colors, and picked what combos I thought would work really well in combination. I want them all to be recognizably from the same game, but I don't want them to all be the same hair color, and I don't want them to be all the same skin color and all the same toga color, etc., etc. So yeah, I picked my color groupings. I've got them all grouped up over here. Yeah, I still have a choice to make. I know what these two are going with because I've already started them. They have golden skin and sort of mid-brown hair. So I need to make a decision about one of the others. We'll see. I know the toga colors are going to be blue, red, and green. The green I'm waffling on. I really am. Because I want it to be immediately obvious, but at the same time, green feels, I don't know, it feels really garish. All the more mellow greens that I have, I don't like as toga colors for this game, because this game is fairly bright. But then the non sort of green is this just, they're too bright. So I don't know, I may change course and go for a different skin tone and a different toga color. Yeah, we'll see. 'Cause I don't love that purple. But then I was like, well, a lot of these skin tones are on the lighter side, just based on what I have. I don't know, maybe I'll go with the darker skin tone. Right now I'm going with the tan with the green toga and the really dark brown hair. But now I'm almost thinking maybe the dark skin tone. And with the dark skin tone, I could use a gray instead for the toga, because I could go with a lighter color as opposed to a bold, bright color. And for that, I would probably use the even darker brown for the hair with like black lowlights. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see when I start painting how I feel. Also, if Steve pops in, I will get his opinion. So he has popped into chat in the past, which I do have up on my computer, but because I also want to have the marble painting tutorial and the my reference photo for the marble that I'm attempting to create, I want to have those up on the screen. So okay, we're gonna run with this. A little nervous. And I don't know why I'm as nervous as I am. I mean, I shouldn't be that nervous. I've done marbling before, and if I mess it up again, I can paint over it. This isn't rocket science. It's not brain surgery. Like, it's not like I'm messing something up. Has like consequences I can't possibly like undo. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is painting some irregular sort of patches of the darker yellow onto it. And this I'm not so worried about using my non-dominant hand because I'm mostly just sponging on like where I want this to be, because I'm actually going to end up going over this with a sponge. Now the problem here ends up being that this is an irregular surface. This is not a flat surface. This has some texture to it. So I'm actually going to do it side by side. I almost feel like I need a slightly darker color to go into the middle of this. Yeah, I feel like I need a slightly darker color, or that like I need to go over this with a more opaque base. The whole idea is that you're creating layers of different textures. Buckaroo Bonsai could do both. Sorry, I'm responding to the chat. It's not rocket science or brain surgery, but Buckaroo Bonsai could do both. I just don't want this to be a totally regular So you can see that that's now like, it's got that yellow through it, but it's not a fully regular color. It's got some irregularity to it. I'm going to use this slightly darker yellow now. Yeah, that'll give us some variety. I don't think you can see that at all. Now, I am taking a little bit of my lightest yellow paint and I'm going to sponge it over what I've just been working on. I honestly think that like a company like, say, Games Workshop is missing out on prime opportunity here. To put little sponges on brushes, like on brush handles. How have they not done that? Gotta dry off my sponge there, we'll rinse it. Like, you would think that that would be a thing that GW would like hop right on. How easy and like how much of a moneymaker would that be to put little sponges on the ends of brush tips? I am waiting to hear from a friend as well who's just seen a movie. I'm keeping an eye out for her. Nothing. We'll see. So actually, let's put this over the white and we can maybe see a little better the texturing that I've added on there. Didn't want to do that. It's fine though, because the paint's still wet. It's fine. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that. Do a little bit of dry brushing. go back over that with some antique gold. That's fine, because antique gold is definitely a thing I'm going to be playing around with. So I actually suggest that we do this whole process multiple times. So we're going to do that again.
So
you can see it's starting to look veined. I think we'll use some straight up this color without adding white to it next. Yeah. Okay, now it's time to actually do like the more precise veins, and this is when I'm going to start using my non-dominant hand, which I'm kind of terrified of, to be perfectly honest, because I haven't played around with this. I'm going to do some test runs on like a napkin. Just to Whoa! Hey, that was way more mahogany than I actually wanted. Oops. And of course it's like the color I don't need a ton of. Alright. Yeah, that's definitely the right way to go, is the non-dominant hand. This is gonna be fun. Gonna take a break here. This non-dominant handwork is really messing with me. I'm going to have to use my dominant hand for a little bit of this. All right. You can definitely tell when I started using my dominant hand, the lines are just so much smoother, which is not really what I want out of that. But to get into some of the crevices, I needed it. Okay. I need more of that paint. We're gonna go through, the last stage I'm gonna do is gonna be going through with tiny bits of gold. Actually, I wanna look at this. Yeah. I wanna sponge a little bit of the darker yellow. Like I said, like I blocked out this mahogany and it's the only thing that I don't need that much of. Okay. Now for the gold. What do you think? I'm actually going to dry brush over it one more time. Oh, I can't believe I just did that. Dropped my model right onto my paint palette and did not manage to drop it in that giant blob of mahogany. I think that's as good as it's going to get. We'll see if Steve likes it. If he doesn't like it, then I can always just go over it with a flat color. But right now, what do you think? Look good? I feel like it's as done as it's going to get. Like if I keep playing with the marble, it's going to end up looking really bad. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm going to count that as a successful experiment. Andy, if you're watching, if you can take a look and let me know what you think. So yeah, I think that might be it. I know you were busy downstairs for a little bit, Andy, but I would definitely appreciate a second opinion on this. Looks good. I can't gauge anymore. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know. So I'm gonna put that aside. I'm gonna let that dry. Oh boy, okay. Let's move on. Let's paint these guys. Let's paint their togas. I'm really annoyed at that blob of mahogany. Really irritated with it. I did not need nearly that amount of mahogany. It just pooped right out of the bottle. That back. So I don't need it right now. Sponge over here. It's in my way. So this is where you start to be aware of the limitations of the minis, which is that there's actually flashing down there under where her foot is. He's a little better, though it does mean he has a stumpy leg. Let's see if all of the babies have the same. Yeah, they do. So now the question is, do I pause what I'm doing, go get an X-Acto blade, and trim this off? I hadn't even looked. I mean, oh, God, I am Mr. Butterfingers today. Wow. Just like rolled my brush through the blue paint. Now, the question remains, what do I do now? Do I go get a blade? I don't have one with me. I wonder if there's one in Derek's kit. I try not to use like the other tools. Since Derek is being kind enough to let me borrow his paints, I try not to go like using all the other stuff in there, like glue and stuff. That stuff I buy my own. Because goodness knows I'm going to use enough of it in the long run. And it's not that I don't have X-Acto blades, I just don't have any of them with me. I wasn't thinking about Because, like, I'm not constructing figures, so I wasn't thinking about needing them.
Here.
Hey,
If
oh,
you decide
God.
you want to do some...
Look down, like, under her skirt.
Look under her skirt, okay.
Yeah, look under the, no, like, under,
I
at
see
the
what
bottom.
you
You see what I mean?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So there's, like, a little bit of flashing on
Yeah.
there.
You might want to trim that.
Yeah.
You'll probably need to put a new blade on. My blade is very badly worn.
You want to see this in person?
I do. Oh. Yeah. Cool.
It works.
I think so.
Looks like marble.
I think Steve will appreciate that.
Cool. And I'm going to close all my marble painting tutorials that I had up. Oh, that plop. Now I need to, like, find something to use that mahogany brown on. Is there anything on, like, one of the Skeksis that needs mahogany brown? I suppose I could use it on some of that. Not really mahogany. No, because I have the right shade of red on that. Oh well, so it goes. Yeah, he doesn't really have any mahogany or anything on him. He's just got a whole lot of armor. Ooh. What should I do? Yeah, I'm annoyed about this flashing on this figure. I'm like, I don't wanna. Oh. There's not even, like, a good angle to get in there and do it. Ugh, annoying. We need, like, a sharps container at the store. I can't do that on camera. That's gonna freak people out. Come on. It doesn't even need to be like that smooth. It's just that piece of flashing hanging down under the skirt is going to make problems when I go to like paint under there. It's just in the way. Disconnect. Stupid piece of plastic. This is probably a good preview of what I'm going to be like when I start putting together the Fallout figures. So fun fact, I work with kids, which means I have to watch my language all the time. Like, I am forever being very careful about swearing in front of kids. Which means I can be on fairly foul-mouthed when I'm not working. As many of my friends have learned. It's sort of one of those, you gotta make up for all the swears you don't get to use in the course of the day. I mean, I work with the public in general, so I would have to be careful anyhow, but you gotta be that much more careful when you've got, like, small children around you all the time. Her foot is up on this block. I didn't notice this before I primed them, and that really bugs me. No. 2 out of 4. Let's do the other one here. Oh, that's not nearly as bad. That's just like a little bit of a shave. That's fine. But it also means that I'm usually very careful about swearing on stream. But I can foresee that changing eventually. Fine. I'm just really not used to like having to cut pieces off models. The talisman figures don't really have anything that I've needed to alter aside from that stupid minstrel, which I didn't even bother. Good enough. Let's just check the guys and make sure they don't have anything that needs dealing with. I mean, they have seams, but I'm not about to go playing with the seams on these. No, he's okay. It's fine. His eyes are kind of wonky, but I can't fix that with an X-Acto blade. Gouge them out. Thank you for the X-Acto blade, Andy. I'm gonna put the spare right there, or the dead one there. All right, back at it. So that blue is a lot bolder than the sort of baby blue on there. There's just something about the plastic that they're made out of that makes that blue just look insipid. Make him an Oedipus figure? Yeah. I don't know how I'd communicate some of the Oedipus story effectively in a game miniature. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I don't want to. Someone's talking to me. It's Toshi. Aw, he's making friends. He's got a new workplace, so. Yep. I'm gonna use mahogany as her shoe color. I suppose I could have her barefoot. It just seems so dangerous in a construction zone. And it's actually going to be white stone. And the reason I want to make it white stone is because the The buildings are all white. They're like, their feet are like hidden under the stone. It's really annoying. I should just make it her skin tone, shouldn't I? It just seems so dangerous to be barefoot. Let's get some of that golden skin down. Brawl. They're having a discussion about the new Magic format downstairs. I think block construct. So Brawl, for the sake of the stream, Brawl is a new Magic format introduced by Wizards of the Coast just the other day, and it's very similar to Commander, which, for those unfamiliar with Commander, Commander is a 100 card singleton deck. That means you can only have one of any given card in it, aside from basic lands. And the colors in Commander, and it's also called EDH, or Elder Dragon Highlander, which is the original name for it. The reason it's called Highlander is because there can be only one of each card. The reason it's called Elder Dragon Highlander is because originally you would have an Elder Dragon as sort of the leader of your deck. Elder Dragon Highlander meant you had a leader of a deck of singleton cards. 100 cards, one of them is your commander. Eventually, it was any legendary creature, and still the colors were dictated by the color of your commander. So if you have a blue-black commander, or a commander that costs blue and black to cast, then you can only have blue and black and colorless or generic spells in your deck. You can't have any red or black or white spells. And I can't remember the exact ruling on it, but I'm pretty sure that means like no hybrid mana with a color that's not in there, and no cards that have a like kicker or it's not kicker. There's another, what was the mechanic? There's a mechanic that was in original Innistrad where you could like bring something back from the dead or something. You could do a from the graveyard mechanic that cost a different color of mana. And those you couldn't have because if they weren't the other color in your deck, because it would break the rules. You couldn't even have them and be like, oh, well, I'm not using that activated, ability because I don't have any of that color mana. It was, no, you can't do that. I'm pretty sure that was the ruling on it. Regardless, the new format, Brawl, is very similar in that it's a singleton deck. You can only have one of any given card, and you do have a commander for it, and the commander does dictate the colors that your deck has, but it's a like set constructed format. It's a standard constructed format. So the idea is, as standard rotates, so too do the cards in Brawl. So it's a standard legal deck, but instead of being a standard legal deck that has like a playset of 4 of a bunch of things, it's a singleton deck of standard legal cards with a standard legal commander. And that standard legal commander can be a legendary creature from a standard legal set, or it can be a planeswalker from a standard legal set. That is different from Commander. Commander, as it stands at the moment, does not allow planeswalkers as your commanders. It does allow legendary creatures, that's the whole point, but it does not allow planeswalkers. I have seen some speculation that given that Brawl is allowing standard legal, Brawl is allowing planeswalkers as your commanders, that is an indication that at some point in the near future Commander will also allow that, that EDH will follow suit. I don't know if that's true. EDH Commander officially is not like a Wizards run format. Commander as a format, Wizards prints cards that play well into Commander. They make their own Commander decks that they put out, but they're not they don't run it. They don't run the ban list for it. They don't set the rulings on it. That is entirely done by an external committee, the commander, like, governing body. So it's not the same. It's not the same group. So it's not like Wizards has a say over that. It's not like they're having having planeswalkers as commanders in Brawl as a test for what they will later do for Commander. If the Commander Committee, if that governing body wants to take it as a test and say, okay, let's see how this works, and what the environment ends up looking like long term, and they like how it looks long term, they may decide as a separate governing body to allow planeswalkers as commanders, but they don't have to. It's not Wizards' call who's allowed as commanders in Commander. That is a completely separate group. They get to say what they want. And if they don't want planeswalkers as commanders, then they won't do it. And I just find it really interesting, the speculation on that. I don't know enough about the Commander sort of committee, the governing body that sets the ban list and the rules and whatnot, to be able to say how much they take what Wizards does with their other formats as, like, cues for what to do next. I have no idea. I do know that Canadian Highlander, or Canlander, is a totally different thing too. Canlander is a single card deck that uses the Legacy ban list as a list of cards that have point values. So nothing is actually flat out banned from Canlander, but you need to have like be able to buy things. So you're never going to be buying all of the cards that are on the ban list, that are on the Legacy ban list. You're never going to be able to all of them. You have a certain number of points, and you spend them towards what you think works best in your deck out of that list. And different things have different values. So like a Black Lotus is going to have a much higher value than like a card that is not quite as ridiculously overpowered, etc., etc. I really do like all the different formats that people come up with for Magic. I think it's pretty cool, especially things like Commander and Canlander, that people come up with these ideas of, let's put together a format that like really works for us and that we enjoy playing, and see if we can get it to a point where like there are stable rules for it that work for us. Obviously, people have various, ways of playing that they enjoy. And I love the idea that they can then eventually share that with other people. My hope is that eventually, like right now, Brawl they're introducing it as a standard legal format. So the whole idea behind it is that you're using standard cards. And one, that keeps it fresh so that people just coming into the game don't feel like they have to like very quickly catch up on 25 years worth of Magic cards just to make their deck viable. Because they don't. They buy standard legal cards. It's certainly good for Wizards in that it's going to keep people buying the cards. And on top of that, one of the biggest issues for, I think, people, like the barrier to entry for things like Commander, is the cost of the individual cards. Now that means that one of the barriers to entry for, say, standard is that standard follows the rules of you can have 4 of any given card. Play sets of certain cards are ridiculously expensive. You may open 1, but opening 4 of, you know, a mythic rare or something. Like, how many people do you know who actually opened 4 Snapcasters ever? People didn't open that, they bought them. So there's a cost issue, but there's also a scarcity issue. Where, like, would you even be able to find them? So that's an issue for a lot of people, especially when they're entering a format for the first time, is you have to be able to get your hands on the cards. 1, that's expensive, and 2, sometimes it's just flat out impossible. Whereas 1 card, and 1 card that's standard legal that you can still buy booster packs and possibly open, or trade for fairly easily, yeah, like, that's far more reasonable for a lot of people. I hate their legs. These are like the most awkward little legs. Changes the rules. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, but yeah, I think it has the potential to be a really cool format. Brawl does, I mean. We'll see. We'll see how people respond to it. It has the potential to be really cool. I mean, it has the potential to flop, but I think it sort of depends on what sort of support they give to it. They've already had a fairly major misstep in that they made one of the first commanders for it a promo exclusive, the buy a box promo card. That was maybe not the wisest decision. Like, I sort of understand, but yeah. All right. Another man who walked the world is going home. All right. Let's do these guys next, because they're the ones I'm pretty sure of their particular color scheme. So the color scheme for these guys is going to be rosy skin, blonde hair, and red togas. These guys were golden skin, brown hair, and blue togas. It's that third set that I haven't made a decision on. I have them with tanned skin right now. I'm not thrilled with that. I think maybe I'll do the dark skin and keep the dark brown hair, but then give them gray, like pale gray togas. Yeah, they have little chibi legs, but they're like also deformed in terms of like the way that they're molded and stuck in with the other stuff. So it's hard to differentiate the legs from the blocks that they're up against because they're just little blobs. Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with the skin. I'm still really annoyed. That blob of mahogany is really bothering me still. Oh, and I've like made it, just centered it right on camera. That's good of me. Make my mistakes really obvious. So there's a thread going around on Twitter about Mr. Rogers. And Mr. Rogers, it was his 90th birthday recently, and Twitch is running a Mr. Rogers marathon, which I have been watching. There was a thread recently talking about how like we shouldn't put him on a pedestal, and he was still human, he was still a person. I don't think anyone has any illusions about that. He's a person, and I think it's more... I still want to be clear that like we did deserve him. He was an awesome guy. And he really wanted to be really cool. He wanted to be a good man. And he largely succeeded, I think. I don't know where I was going with that. I have lost track of my thoughts. Regardless, the thread was talking about like, oh, we shouldn't put him on a pedestal. He was still a person, he still had flaws. Yeah, we all have flaws. I just don't want his flaw to have been that he was like a total hypocrite. But I've been watching a lot of Mr. Rogers lately. Making me feel good. And the funny part being, I had just said to Andy, I've been feeling really down. I could really use that Mr. Rogers stream. It would be really great if that was going on again. Like the next day, there it was, being announced. We're doing it again for his birthday. It's like, oh, okay, thank you. Just in time for my boss to show up unexpectedly at work too. Because that's not like nerve-wracking to have someone who's not normally in your building suddenly show up in your face like without calling ahead. She never calls ahead. Nothing was wrong. We were talking about new furniture. My coworker at the branch the other day told me, she was like, yeah, you're like one of the most prepared people I've ever met. It's like, it's the anxiety. That's what anxiety gets you. Being overly prepared for like every possible contingency. But what if this goes wrong? There's something very soothing about Mr. Rogers. He likes you just the way you are. It's like, oh, okay. I may be massively anxious and freaking out about, like, everything under the sun, but Mr. Rogers liked me. He didn't even know me and he liked me. And it's not even so much that, like, he would have liked me if he had met me. No. He just liked people. He told me. He was my neighbor. My TV neighbor. the reason I'm doing these and not the Skeksis right this second is that I have this feeling like this game is borrowed. We borrowed it from Steve to play it on stream. And then we got to talking about painting the figures, and now I'm doing that, but that means that he doesn't have his cane. And our store is not his regular store, so it's not like he could just come grab it if he wanted to play it. I just gotta finish working on this and send it back to him. Just really don't like that green as a toga color, and none of the other like possible toga colors really do it for me. Because I want them to have a lot of, like, they're game tokens, so you want them to contrast against each other, as well as contrasting like within the model. I just had a really stupid thought. I was like, oh wow, he's got this little bump on his neck. The other one had a little bump on its neck. I wonder, oh, they both have it. That's weird. I wonder if it's like intent. It's part of the mold, dummy. Sometimes I'm not bright. Mr. Rogers would still like me. painting the other ones with a white toga also does a couple of things. One, or with gray togas. Hi, Battleground Games. Interesting. I am painting, these are not Fallout figures right now. These are actually the figures from Santorini, which I am painting for a friend who very nicely loaned us his copy of Santorini. And then when I've got some base coats down for them, I'm going to be working on these guys from the Dark Crystal board game. So this is the Chamberlain with his irritating whimper. And I have a little bit of work to do on the crystal for Jen. I don't like how it looks right now. And I have to do the little pinpricks of light in Kira's eyes. And then do some basing on the Gartham Master. So, there we go. Who has, like, just amazing detail on his figure. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Fallout, unfortunately, I have to wait for. It's fine. I have patience. I can wait for things. The Fallout figures, so I'm done with the board game. I finished the actual board game, the Fantasy Flight game. I can show those off if you would like to see them. Because I have those in my bag. Because I need to get some pick foam for them so that I can actually store them in the box without getting them all like rattled around. But yeah, the Modiphius figures, which are the next figures, the other Fallout figures coming out, have not come out yet. They are coming out in May, so in May I will have a great deal of painting to do. Because, man, am I looking forward to that. I cannot wait to play that game. I've never really been into war games and sort of strategy games like that. But my God, do I want to play that game. That game looks just fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm gonna do their eyebrows. So one of the things about these little Santorini figures, they're like super deformed, you know. On the other hand, aha, but I know who that is talking to me. The thing about them being this, like these little weird chibi figures, they've got their weird little super deformed legs, but also they do have like these really exaggerated facial features. And normally when I'm painting game figures, their facial features are really tiny. So actually painting like detail work on faces is really hard. Alright. But it means that I can do more detail on the face. So I can actually, like, do things like eyebrows. Whoa, get a little bit stranger. stranger. One of the things I really like that I've discovered. Hey, Chase. So you're the one who has that account. We were wondering. I don't know, this brush is a cheapo brush that I got at Michael's. That I have had forever, and I did that right. It's ours about if I want it. Talk to Andy about it, because we've branded so much of this under Battleground Games Live that I don't know what we would want to do with it, but Andy might have some ideas. Like modding it or something, like making it a mod for the channel. Anyway, this is a very cheap brush. This was bought at Michael's for like maybe a couple of bucks for a set. And I've actually found that it has like a nice curve to it. You like Battleground Games Live? Live from Abington. It's Friday morning. It's like Friday afternoon now. Is it really 3 o'clock? Holy crap. Am I reading that right? Oh man. Day just flies by. I want to work on that Skeksis. Have I shown you the finished Fallout figures, Chase? I don't remember if I showed them to you last time I saw you. If I haven't, I can pause with these Santorini figures, with Steve's Santorini figures. These are Steve Benjamin's Santorini figures. He loaned us his copy of Santorini to play on stream. And he was in the chat last week and mentioned painting them, and I said I can do that, I can make that happen, like easily, because I have brushes and paint and I enjoy painting things, so it's not a hard thing to make happen. Oh, no worries. Did you want to see the finished Fallout figures? I can't remember if I showed them to you. I can pause Steve's Santorini figures very easily and break out the Fallout figures if I didn't show them to you last time I saw you. I cannot recall. Memory. Memory's hard. Well, give me a second to finish this base coat of flesh, and I will break them out and show them to you. Give me a moment. All this messy paint all over the place. I always feel super demoralized when I start out painting something and I'm like, man, this is such a mess. And I have to remind myself that I'm going to go over it. Alright. He can sit there, and the last one will wait. Alright. Alright. So we have, let's show off some Fallout figures. We have our Ghoul. His plasma pistol. The thing I'm most proud of with him, and I don't know if it comes off on camera, is that I did manage to get pinstripes onto his vest. And I was really pleased about that. The reason I'm looking away is that I'm actually looking at the screen in front of me to see if he's on camera. So that's the Ghoul. This is the Wastelander. Ooh, there we go. She's got a triple barrel shotgun, which I'm still salty about because it doesn't exist in the game. It's a mod. The weapon is like from a game mod. So I'm annoyed about that. But the outfit exists in the game. So, which is more than I can say for the Ghoul. I'm just less annoyed about the Ghoul's outfit not existing in game because there are a lot of like vests and suits and stuff. But first, yes, the nails do match the ring today. They were, God, I don't even remember what color they were last night or last week. But here's our Vault Dweller. He is carrying a rifle that I sort of determined was Old Painless, which is a unique weapon you can find. He is wearing a Vault 13 armored vault suit, which you could definitely get in the earlier games, and in New Vegas it was a bonus item you could get for pre-ordering the game through GameStop. Thank you. Here's my Brotherhood of Steel Outcast. I went for Outcast because I thought it would look cool. There was a reason why. Like, I went looking up the armor and stuff and determined that this particular armor would look good as Outcast armor. He's carrying a Gatling rifle, which I also looked up, and it has all this cool, like, yellow wires here. Yeah, that gun is yeah, it is legit. It'll mess you up. My personal favorite Fallout weapon is the Gauss rifle, just because it's a light gun, not a heavy gun. So, I mean, it's a light gun, but it does bonkers damage. And once you hit a certain level, once you hit like level 50 or so, you start finding ammo for it on a fairly regular basis. And I have taken out a hermit crab in Far Harbor with a single shot with one. So if you stack bonuses for it, it's ridiculous. So, but the Gatling laser is definitely a thing. It uses a fusion core, actually, for its ammo. You can't really tell from here, but on like the actual gun, it loads in right about here, and it just depletes a fusion core to fire. And it's underneath it and everything. So yeah, that's the Brotherhood Outcast. And finally, my favorite, the Super Mutant. So yeah, he's got a super sledge. He's wearing an outfit that can be found on Super Mutants in-game. Shoulder rags and a like waist wrap with these car part panels on them that I painted to look like they had chipped paint. And he's got like barbed wire and stuff holding on his stuff. Yeah, he does look, the Super Mutants and the Warcraft orcs, they're striking similarities. And he's got his dirty feet. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how he came out. I'm just super thrilled with him. So those are the Fallout figures. And then show you what I worked on earlier today. This is the Golden Fleece figure from Steve's Santorini kit. And I finished the head last week. This morning, what I worked on, the first thing I did today, was to do a faux marble effect on the base. Which I hadn't done in a long time and involved using the smallest of sponges. Which, seriously, you would think that like GW would have gotten on there and put little sponges on brush tips. But they haven't, so I just had to use a kitchen sponge. It used to be that color. Now it is actually gold. So that's the Golden Fleece figure, along with a marble stand for it, which given that I haven't done faux marbling since like college, when I was still doing theater tech, I'm really pretty pleased with myself about. Oh. So yeah, I need to get some pick foam and make a little box for them so that they have a box to live in the Fallout box, like my game box, so that when I bring Fallout to PAX, I will have painted figures to do demos with. That is the plan. But I want them to have a nice safe place to live in the box so that they won't get all knocked around, because I'm going to seal them. I mean, they're sealed already. They're varnished and everything. But I'm going to want them to be, nice and safe so they're not knocking around all the time. But definitely I want them with me for PAX. Just imagine, Chase, I'll be demoing the game with fully painted figures. And show them off to people and be like, you could do this too. They took paint really easily. Like they were fun to paint. Oh, awesome. So you said on Facebook that you were going deep in some games that I love. Might I ask what games? I'm assuming Fallout was one of them. I was sort of making that assumption, and I think it was a safe one, or as deep as you could get. But I wasn't sure which other games you were going with. Which other games, like, specifically that I was into, that you were gonna do. Let me know. I'm just excited to play games all day, every day. I do have a few things I want to go to. I want to go to game show night, because they're introducing a new game this year, and it's going to be weird and fun. And I want to go to the Loading Ready Run panel. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Chrononauts, awesome. Chrononauts and Harry Potter. I think I can do those. Handful of Wasteland Express, awesome. Wasteland Express, yeah, like I said, surprise favorite for me. I had not expected to really love that game. And for whatever reason, I just really enjoyed it. When Andy and I learned to play it, I was like, this is hilarious and fun, and I'm greatly enjoying it. So pure and so bright, of surrender. So there's number 9 you got a lot of. Number 9 will demo so fast. Number 9 is a super easy to demo game, so I am not worried about that. Azul, Topiary, awesome. Topiary's really cute. Easy to talk up. It's one of those games that's relatively easy to, like, it would be easy to sell to parents with kids, because there's, all you need to know is numbers and values. You don't need like a super high reading level for it. You need to know your numbers, you need to know the order that they go in. But beyond that, in terms of just playing a basic game, you don't need a lot of reading level for it, and that makes things easier to sell to a parent looking for a game to play with, like, the kids of different ages. What else was on stream? God, we've done a lot of stuff at this point. It's kind of funny, like, I forget what we've done and then I go through it and I'm like, oh yeah, I loved that game. Ex Libris? 20 or so Santorini? Okay. It's better than no Santorini. I'm bummed we can't get Sagrada. We should demo Meeple Circus. 100% we should demo Meeple Circus. The reason I say 100% we should demo Meeple Circus is because as soon as people start stacking their Meeple, they will want to keep playing it. I played one game of that and I want to play it forever. We won't be able to really hear the music, but I don't think it matters. Like, we can just run a timer and be like, yeah, imagine doing this to increasingly stressful music. It's hilarious. And it's really funny. If you haven't played Meeple Circus Chase, I highly recommend trying to get a game of it in, because it's so funny. There was someone on the stairs for a moment there. I don't know who it was. Yeah, the music is a potential issue, but I don't think it's that big a deal. I think even if we can't hear the music, we can figure out a way to do it, but stacking the meeple is not. Stacking the meeple is super fun. Hey, Riley.
Hello.
Worst comes to worst, I can always sing the comedy klezmer music. Until the day we die, this is one of the models that had the really bad flashing. Not cool. It's as good as that's getting. Okay. All right, decision time. I want to see how this light gray looks against the tan skin. From honey, hot and gray, drinking mead in the halls of white from the maiden. There are mugs of rain. That actually doesn't look too bad against the tan skin. I could probably do that. Okay. They won't be as colorful, but I'm okay with that. I think I'm going to end up making the hair on the blue figures like kind of auburn, like have like auburn highlights to them. Let's try it. Let's give it a go. Let's put that green back. I wasn't happy with how bright the green was. So here's the thing. If this was my game, if this was mine, I would 100% be going for like super, super different skin tones. But I don't know, skin tones are hard. And I don't have Steve around to ask. I'm actually going back over the rosy skin tone instead of hopping right into the last ones. Largely because I want to be able to compare them really like directly to the other set. The pillars of the past, your feet coming into the day. I think their feet are the bit I'm most annoyed with. Because it feels like the person who made the sculpt was just like, I don't want to deal with their feet. I'll just make blobs at the end of their legs. And had done with it. And I'm annoyed about that. Long remember warriors free, twisting thunder echoes of the past. Our voices forever to the last. So because these figures are fairly cartoonish, I'm not worried about making them like the most realistic of paint jobs. I'm not going to be like, oh, I need to shade that shadow. No, they're supposed to be kind of cartoony. I'm not going to be doing like a ton of washes and stuff like that. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to squeeze out more paint for this skin tone, but alas, I must. Oh, ho, ho. When Chase comes back, I'm going to ask him if he is in Norton. And if he is Steve Benjamin around? I think he's probably working. Steve, I mean. Let's try getting a skin tone down for these guys, and then we're going to play. I need to decide what I'm getting for dinner tonight. It's a hard decision. What do I want? Thanks, Andy. Yeah, food is definitely a thing. I'm thinking, what food do I want? Do I want Chinese? Do I want Thai? Do I want pizza? Steak tips? There was a guy who came into my workplace the other day, and he needed to use a computer, and the first thing we ask people when they say, hey, can I use a computer in here, is, do you have a library card? Because this is a typical question. You need a library card to log into the computers if you don't have one. We do have like passes for people who just need to use it for a few seconds, but we would like if you would use a library card to log into the computers. One, it means we don't have to be doing it for you, and two, it means that we do have at least a record of who is logged into a station currently in case we have a problem. So I asked him if he had a library card, and his response was, what's that? Get it? I was like, yeah, I got it. You're real cute. It's like, yeah, but I need to use the computers. I was like, okay, so you don't have a library card. He goes, no, what's a library card? I don't need one of those. I never use this place. I just need to use it today because my internet's out. And I was like, no, that ain't cute. Why, like, laugh at and belittle the person whom you are actively asking for help from? It seems like a really foolish thing to do. And he was like on the phone with someone. He was telling them, haha, she asked what I wanted, and she asked if I had a library card, and I said, what's that? Isn't that funny? Like, not that funny. It isn't funny at all, but also, what the hell? It just got me thinking, like, you need someone to help you? Why treat them like dirt? It seems weird. It seems like an odd choice, honestly. So this is the other option for the skin tone for this third set, is instead of the tanned skin, which is this, I'm doing dark skin instead. And I'm really not sure. If I do dark skin, I can do a yellow toga. But that means doing a different hair color on these guys, though I could go with red hair. These guys, like auburn hair for these guys. They already have red togas though, so that might be a little weird. But like Santorini, so Santorini is an island in the Mediterranean. In the Mediterranean, real close to Africa. And I don't accept that there would be no people with darker skin on Santorini. If this was my set, I would definitely do this. I don't know. I know Steve's main request was that the figures be very easy to distinguish between. Just don't want it to end up looking monochromatic, and my choices for brown for the hair are limited. I would probably go with a really dark brown, which was my original intent for these guys. let's face it, the world needs some diversity in the games. Some of these figures were originally blue. Who says they can't have dark skin? I think he looks fine. And that's against rosy skin. And golden skin. I mean, I'll be honest, the tan skin is probably the closest to like olive skin, which is more Mediterranean. But it's about gods. It's fantasy. It's make-believe. Yeah, I don't think it matters. Like, I don't think it's going to be a big deal to just looking at all the gods. You know, the gods really run the gamut in terms of skin tone. They're all over the place. Yeah. I feel confident in my choice. Going for it. So that means you're going back up with the rosy skin folks. You are getting repainted. I'm doing it. It's being done. It's happening. Sounds like the junior planeswalkers folks are starting to show up downstairs. Which means they'll keep Andy hopping looking for cards. At least I assume that's how that's gonna go. Which means it's almost 4. My God, it's almost 4 o'clock. So should I do a yellow toga on this guy since I'm now doing darker skin? I could do yellow. What sort of food are you in the mood for, Andy? I honestly have no idea what I want. Well, if nothing else, I'm definitely getting practice with this, of painting the same model a bunch of times. Second coat for this, and then I think I will do a yellow toga. We'll go with this golden color. I'll be a force of nature. This guy doesn't need as much of a second coat because he had the tan skin on already, and then I went over him. So this is basically just touching up to get rid of the lingering traces of that. Excellent. I do want these guys to have a chance to dry before I go bagging them up again, because the dark crystal game has little molded spots for all of the characters, so they don't knock around, but these just go in baggies. So I'm going to have another Friday stream next week. Normally I alternate Fridays and Saturdays, but March has a 5th Saturday. And 5th Saturdays, I don't work. 5th Saturdays are unusual. They only happen like 3 times a year. So they're not like the rarest thing in the world, but they certainly aren't every month. And they're done by seniority where I work. So the people with the least seniority work the 5th Saturdays. I suppose if I wanted to work them, I could say, hey, I work 5th Saturdays. Someone will be happy to have them off. But they're done by seniority. And I've been there for long enough that I no longer work them. So I don't work them, which is fine by me. Look so messy right now. I don't love it, but I want them to dry. I want them to have a chance to sit. Cool. Okay. Let's look at this guy. Isn't he fun? Look at him. He's a jerk. I mean, we know that. But he's got all this purple and green on. Looks like the Joker. Alright, so let's think about him. He definitely needs purple on his face like the Chamberlain did. What's interesting is he's carrying his like little staff, not the sword. See, like I've said, I love the river horse figures. They look really great. Look at that. Look at the detail on that. They look great, but they're definitely not, they're not to the cards on this one. Jen's carrying the shard in the figure, but not in the card. And he doesn't have his like full coat on in the figure. Kira's wings are spread in the card, but not the figure. Chamberlain is pretty much like his hands are out in the card, but clasped, but that's not a huge difference. The Labyrinth figures were just like exactly the same, one for the other. So interesting, kind of weird, but whatever. So yeah, let's think about how we want to base him. So the Garthen Master's robes are like a deep dark purple, and he's wearing armor made from the Gartham, the big beetles. Let's see if he has like these plates. Yeah, you can see those. And those are really cool, but there's an iridescence to beetles. Is there an iridescent paint? Like oil slick sort of stuff. It's, you know what, I bet I can dry brush like green and purple onto it and work with that. And then it's got like gold edging. He's got this green pendant. Let's start with purples, I think. I want to see him from behind. There's a nice close-up of his face. Yeah, it's like, God, this is gonna be hard, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, let's play with purples first and see what we get. I've got a Nightshade Purple here, and that's like the darkest purple that I have in the painting case. We're gonna play with that, I think. I wonder what would happen if I mixed these. Where's the color I want? Where's emerald green? There, is that it? Is that the metallic? Yeah, it is. I'm gonna do a little experiment. I don't know if that's even it. No, this is it. Body built anew, fingers torn in two. All right, let's see what this becomes. This. I don't know. I don't know if it's any good. That's sitting there for a little while. I feel like it needs more of the green. Feeling you black gold, there's a heartbeat under my skin. Smile like it's so.
Wait, so you could pull like a cat yeah.
So don't call me a moron, I'm super astute. There is no conundrum that my call cannot compute. Don't call me a moron, you foster balloon. My heart use the infinite space from here to the moon. So don't call me a moron, I'm
So he actually has a darker purple on his face than the Chamberlain does in the real thing. But they're both like bright purple in the cards. So I'm gonna paint it purple because I'm gonna end up doing a wash on him. I'm probably gonna finish up in about half an hour. So it'll be 5 o'clock then. I'm gonna need dinner. I'm hungry. He's also got some like scraggly hair. Mm. I'm gonna have to find a good picture of this staff. So there's definitely going to be some green modeling on this. And he has like this gossamer sort of overrobe that there's no way I can do that justice. So we'll just do it poorly instead. It's like this fabric obviously was like a brocade. It was really pretty. And it's been worn by this like sloppy jerk for centuries. This little guy down here, it's like he's got this like gold face belt, like crotch necklace. And isn't that a great image I just put in everyone's heads? Crotch necklace. Someone is talking to me. You'll have to wait until I finish putting this coat of purple on this guy. But like all this texture on his sleeve here is actually all like brocade embroidery and stuff. It's like the woven in and embroidered and decorated. It's like I said, decadence. Thoroughly decadence. So what I'm doing right now is adding a base coat of a yellow where I will be painting gold eventually. Actually, all of this armor is going to end up with gold edging. Hey, Travis! I am just finishing up really right now, so unfortunately, but I am hungry, and I have been streaming since like 1-ish, so I'm doing the Gartham Master. Uh-huh. What about Spirit Island? Yeah, what if they were aliens? Then it would be XCOM. Now is when I pull out the jade thing. I think that's mine or not. And we flipped things at them. Is that where you're going with that? What if every game was flip ships? Is, I feel like, where you're going with this. And I agree with you. What if every game was flip ships? Then I'd be extra sad that you're not going to be here tonight. I don't think we get to actually flip things, though. Which I have to tell you, I'm pretty sad about. All flip ships, all the time. All right. I think this is the best I'm going to be able to do today base coat wise. That puts base coats on both Skeksis. I want to do Kira's eyes before I finish today. Yeah, I kind of figured that might be it. It's a bummer, but there's like a good reason why you won't be with us. Oh no, no. It's just not getting there. I'm like losing it before it yeah, I mean flip chips is basically amazing. But I think it needs to be a tiny bit more paint. Like black paint on one eye. There we go. Done. I think that's going to be it for today. I have painted a lot. I may work on the togas for a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna have Andy come up and close out the stream if he can. All right, it was good to see you, Travis.
Yeah.
So yeah,
See you
I
later.
think that's gonna be it. Awesome. We'll see you tonight.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.